I'm going to be, as well, CEO of Commerce Vision, I'm going to be doing a similar sort of concept to Ronnie, just talking about automation and, the benefits of how automation accelerates efficiency. And again, probably give some practical and pragmatic examples from Commerce Vision's customer base of how we've seen this automation really work for our clients. And the latest and greatest in automation is ChatGPT, which I know everybody is probably familiar with by this stage. And ChatGPT-4 was just released today, the latest iteration of their language model. So I did try to get ChatGPT to write or help me with this keynote presentation today, but unfortunately, ChatGPT was busy at the time. And so having a backup, as Ronnie was talking about, to automation and making sure we can sort of unpack the black box and we know what's in there is really important. But when you look at the benefits of automation, there are many different benefits. As I say, we'll talk about some practical examples we've seen through our customer base. But fundamentally, for me, I'm talking about using technology to automate the repetitive work or the manual work that machines and now artificial intelligence can do quite well, and really allow humans to focus on higher order, problems and higher order work. So in the context of business, this sort of automation can be used to really streamline processes and reduce errors and increase productivity. And as I say, one of the key benefits of automation is it really frees up the employees, the humans, to focus on, problem-solving tasks and, customer intimacy, customer focus, be more proactive around customer engagement, and allows a business really to scale in a way, managing and containing or constraining costs. And so, if we look at some research around this and the benefits that we've seen back, especially through COVID, COVID forced a lot of, especially B2B businesses that might have been slow to adopt automation and slow to adopt digital technologies, really had to rush into digital technologies to make sure they could even trade and engage with their customers, putting in place and getting serious about, say, e-commerce, B2B e-commerce, web shops, rather than trying to interact sort of person to person with their team. And there was some research from Forrester, so global research organization, that found that, especially during the pandemic and at the start of the pandemic, about 53% of B2B buyers really preferred to do their research online and deal online, transact online with their supplier rather than speak to the individual salespeople. And within the first year of COVID, that had grown to really 68%. And over 70% of B2B buyers are, according to Forrester, planning to increase their sort of usage of online tools. So, COVID forced, as I say, a lot of people who weren't adopting technology, were still very manual, to go to what we call a digital first approach. Digital first meaning that when you have a business challenge, you want to grow, or you want to optimize in the business, or you've got blockages, to really look at technology first, digital first, so putting technology in place first, rather than throwing humans at the task. And so, there are lots of different forms of automation. And so we'll talk about a few of those today. But if businesses haven't already picked up on automation and focused on this digital first approach, here's a few more data points in terms of businesses that are succeeding when they're doing this. The study by Accenture, for example, found that businesses that focus and implement automation see an average increase in productivity of 30%. So it's an average increase in productivity of 30% is massive. One that's probably even more important is that McKinsey have shown that companies that adopt digital technologies and take a digital first approach are 26% more profitable than those that haven't. So if you can imagine adding 26% to your bottom line, that's incredibly powerful. Forrester found that B2B e-commerce solutions, in terms of digital first ways of engaging with your customers, can reduce sales costs and admin costs by up to 15%. And Digital Commerce 360 found that manufacturers who now move to B2B e-commerce platforms to drive their sales see a 25% uplift in sales. So lots and lots of data points there that really talk about adopting automation, taking a digital first approach, really helps the business to scale, to drive productivity and reduce costs. increase sales and actually improve customer service. It might seem like you can't do that with digital technologies, but in fact you can. Many of our customers at Commerce Vision have really improved their customer service off the back of taking digital technologies and focusing on that digital interaction with their customers, as well as freeing up the staff, the customer service people, to have much more proactive conversations with customers than simply taking orders. So, in Commerce Vision, it's pretty common once a customer adopts our sort of platforms that they'll move from, say, 20% of their orders being captured automatically, therefore 80% of their inbound orders being captured through humans entering those orders into the system, to move to as much as 80%. It's quite common for 80% of all orders to be automatically entered into the system through their e-commerce platforms or other tools that, in our case, that we provide, like sales order automation tools, so that 80% of orders are being captured automatically, which really frees up their customer service teams to be incredibly proactive and allows those businesses to scale and optimize their businesses. Especially in times where there is constraints, like in 2023, we see that we're moving into an era of tighter economic conditions. The era of sort of easy money that started post the GFC in 2008, we've had for almost 15 years, is certainly over. The Reserve Bank in Australia has raised interest rates for the last 10 meetings consecutively. So we're in a period of rising interest rates. We have rising input costs. We have wage inflation. We have inflation and other inputs into the business. There are other challenges in 2023, including still supply chain challenges post the pandemic. And that really means that economic conditions are getting much tougher. And for B2B businesses, quite hard to pass all the costs directly onto their business buyers, which means margins get squeezed. And so when margins get squeezed, you end up in a position where you're essentially being asked to do more with less. And doing more with less is quite difficult, often not sustainable, unless the way you do that is adopt digital and automation technologies, which actually allows you to sell more with less investment, or grow or scale your business with less investment. And research by Deloitte just recently showed that in the wake of slowing activity and slowing rate of sales, B2B businesses are really focusing on and accelerating their digital transformation. So, of course, in a case like this, $1 saved below the line is worth, $10 above the line in terms of their focus on sales. So in terms of focusing on how to do more with less, it's really a case of, again, looking at how you can utilize your back-end ERP system like MYOB Advanced, but fully integrated to your front-end sort of order capture tools like your e-commerce platform, and streamline your supply chains to make that as frictionless and seamless as possible in order to continue to scale, but optimize your costs. And really, businesses that don't focus in on doing this, and in a time of margin compression as we have now, are going to find that they're going to get out-competed by businesses that are automation adopters and focused on automation and digital technologies. And ultimately, they'll become less competitive as their sort of unit cost economics no longer work in the same way as competitors who are focusing on automation, and they'll become less and less competitive and ultimately go backwards. Unless that business is awake to this. So in terms of sort of pragmatically where you might start, in terms of an automation process, Ronnie had a similar message around this, which we would say be very pragmatic. Start with a basic business process flow, like your procure to pay, so your buying of all your materials, buying of all your goods, or order to cash, which is your selling cycle. Map that cycle end to end and understand where there are places where processes can either go wrong, or where there's repetitive manual work being done by your staff. And you might find people entering things and keeping registers in Excel or other bits and pieces, or acting as sort of human glue between different systems, doing manual work to make sure systems can operate together. And making sure systems can operate together is another form of automation. So having a good look at integration between disparate systems is certainly a good way to think about it, and to go even beyond that, to think about how you might integrate your customer systems and or your supplier systems into your processes and really streamline and sort of go for what we call seamless B2B or seamless and frictionless B2B trading, which is core to our vision, actually a commerce vision. And a good example of this is a customer of ours who's a large wholesaler and supplier, also manufacturer of goods in the dental industry. So in the dental industry, you've got all the dentists, they're large corporate groups, and they're small sort of mom and pop dentist surgeries as such. But in a dental surgery, each dental surgery's got a stock room where they've got all their shelves of all the consumables that they use to run the dental surgery. Our customer, who is the supplier to the dentist, has extended their e-commerce system, supplied by us, but their e-commerce system to their customer to actually allow their customer to do the stock take in their stock room. So each dental surgery is able to set up what their stock room and their bin locations, their shelves look like in their stock room on the e-commerce platform provided by the supplier. They're then able to do their weekly stock take, their replenishment ordering of whatever, they say we need, we normally have 10 in this bin, we've got 3, so we need to order 7. They can scan barcodes, they can just use an iPad and go around and do a replenishment order in the stock room. And that is actually using a function from their supplier's e-commerce platform that actually then takes everything they need to reorder and sends it back to that supplier through the shopping cart on the e-commerce system and directly into the ERP system in the back end of the supplier, where the supplier is able to then automatically get it into their warehouse for picking, packing, and dispatch in a very, very seamless way. So that's an excellent use of understanding how to integrate not just your own internal systems, but actually even your customer systems and have your customers work with you to do that. And when you're doing that, you're avoiding what we call swivel chair integration, which is looking at different ways that you've got your team moving data between one system and another. And if you can remove swivel chair integration by automating and integrating the systems between each other, they've got things called APIs that allow these systems to talk to each other. You can really remove bottlenecks in your process flow, and again, spend a lot more time with customer-facing, proactive, sort of what we call customer intimacy work, adding value strategically to your customers rather than just order processing. So another practical example of that is a customer of ours, Royal Foods. We mentioned here on the slide, Royal Foods had a problem where they were in the food services game, as you could tell. In the food services industry, it's very important that you deliver in full on time the next day. All orders that come in the day before get delivered in full on time the next day. And that is because the restaurants might close at 2 in the morning, whatever it is. They do all their replenishment ordering before they close the restaurant at night. And the next day, they need all the produce turning up ready for service the next day. So if you're in food services, delivery in full on time is critical. Royal Foods used to have staff coming in, customer service staff coming into the warehouse at 3 a.m. every single day to pick up all the orders that had come in late at night or after the close of business the night before, enter all those orders into their ERP system so that the warehousing team could pick and pack those stocks and be ready, pick and pack the stock and be ready to pack the trucks at 6 a.m. when the trucks turned up. Royal Foods implemented one of our solutions from Commerce Vision called Lucy, and Lucy automates the receiving of all purchase orders that have come in from your customers. If they've come in an email, as a PDF in an email, Lucy will capture all of those, understand all those, convert them into data, check in your ERP system if they're all correct or not, inject them into the ERP system as a sales order. And all those orders are automatically in the ERP system for picking and packing when the staff arrive at 6 a.m. the next day, and nobody has to go in at 3 a.m. anymore to enter all those orders in. So massive gain in scale and sustainability for Royal Foods. Another example, practical example is Kinchrome, another one of our customers using our Lucy tool. Lucy will process about 26 100,000 order lines of inbound orders from King Chrome's customers every month and automatically inject them into the back-end ERP. We had another customer just last month had 100,000 order lines automatically entered into the ERP by Lucy. That's a massive ability to just free up customer service staff. Otherwise, we'll be punching all these PDFs into the ERP, freeing them up again to spend time with the customers, giving them product information, technical information, being proactive about where those customers are trying to take their businesses and strategically align with them. So, in my experience, businesses that invest in their systems, invest in their backend in MYOB Advanced, invest in the front-end tools like the e-commerce platform. We have here systems from Commerce Vision, for example, our Lucy system for order automation, and our Metrics CRM system, which is for mobile field sales staff to automate, again, capturing orders in the field and merchandising products in consumer goods stores, for example. Businesses that invest in this sort of automation and see technology as a way to gain a competitive advantage rather than a way to, as costs that need to be constrained, tend to do much better than businesses that just see technology as a cost and are sort of more resistant to it. So, the world is changing in terms of post-COVID, but also post the sort of easy money times. At Commerce Vision, we actually ran a webinar yesterday, which I'll just include the link to over here with Bernard Salt. Bernard Salt's actually Australia's leading demographer who has a lot of insight into the changing marketplace and changing sort of demography around Australia in particular. If anybody's interested in downloading or receiving that webinar, which was recorded yesterday, please just go to commercevision.com.au, and if you just go on our main page to register for the webinar, you'll be able to receive the recording of that. So finally, as I've been saying all along, the role of automation is really to increase efficiency and remove friction from the business to keep your unit cost economics competitive. And then the human element, of course, remains critical when it comes to creativity, problem solving, empathy, and interpersonal customer interactions. You'd use automation to speed up your processing flows and your accuracy and lower your costs, and especially mundane and repetitive tasks. You'd really focus on automation. For those, they do free up the human resources to focus on those higher value order tasks. And so you really want automation to function in a supporting role because customers actually want to deal with people, not with robots. So use the robots in a way that make your people available and add value to your customers, or where a lot of flexibility, is required in the process. So, automation is rapidly changing the way that B2B businesses operate, and, with the right strategy and implementation, automation can really help B2B businesses stay competitive. So I would, effectively, advise doubling down on your investment in your ERP system as a foundational tech platform, and then leverage that to go beyond that in terms of a digital first approach. You working with MYOB and their reseller partners and ISVs like Commerce Vision to really embrace automation and unleash its full potential for the benefit of your customers and your team and your own business.